Hey everyone, in this video I want to compare HIMS and Palantir. These are both retail favorites, super hot stocks, strong performance, good growth, and they're not very similar companies, but I want to compare them. Basically, if you're thinking of buying HIMS or Palantir, there's a few things you should know. And HIMS grows very quickly, top and bottom line. You'd think it's a much better buy than Palantir, given they have a more modest PE, right? So comparing that to the 600 on Palantir and less growth, the main issue with HIMS and why Palantir in some ways is better is because Palantir has very shareholder-friendly management. The management wants retail to win, and so far they've gotten what they deserved. So one of the things they did was transfer the stock exchange just to help boost the stock, as it changed some sort of index requirements of holdings. They're also doing buybacks, which is absurd at these current prices, but they're doing buybacks and that just supports the stock. They're essentially saying their stock is undervalued even though it's not. It's just like pure confidence in the stock. Compare that with something like HIMS, right? If I remind you of HIMS, you'll notice it's at about 55 right now. They did an offering of convertible notes. Now, what is a convertible note? It's basically debt, like a bond, that can convert to stock. And you might be like, oh, the interest rate is 0. That's so good, right? Why is this a bad thing? The reason is because you either can just issue a bond and take on debt, pay an interest rate, or you can opt for a note, a convertible note, that has less interest. So why would you want the one with less interest that can convert to stock? This one converts at about $70 per share, and at that point it's dilutionary. So when you're asking yourself, would you rather pay interest or dilute, the answer should essentially be, I'd rather pay the interest if I'm undervalued and dilute if it's overvalued. So that's essentially HIMS telling you bluntly, our stock is extremely overvalued at $71 per share. So while one company, no matter how overvalued their stock is doing things like buyback and trying their best to support it, the other one is doing things that essentially are telling you the stock's overvalued. Now, as a pure fundamentalist, I would say HIMS is the better buy. It just makes more fundamental sense. But as a technicalist and just thinking about the management, it'd be Palantir that's the better buy in the short term. I don't think Palantir is sustainable in the long run, but it's clear the management has a better intent. Another thing to note is people often use some sort of discounted cash flow and stuff and model out 10 years in the future. With HIMS being a very simple company, it's easy to model it out, and they can probably do some sort of model where the growth rate slows, whereas Palantir is relatively unknown, so they're probably just extrapolating current growth rates. And with that being said, that allows it to run at a higher valuation in the short term. So if you guys are thinking about Palantir or HIMS, short term Palantir is probably better and stronger, whereas in the very long term HIMS is probably better at the current price. But either of them are not great at the current valuations, so you can probably find better companies out there if you have your eyes open.